out there in grip world? This is Napalm Jedd Johnson from DieselCrew.com, and I'm joined by my co-host, Alan Heineck. This is episode 67 of This Week in Grip. Before we get into this, we got a great guest today. We've got Joe Sullivan, my good friend from Syracuse, New York area. He went to the Cross Canada competition that took place very recently. He's going to give us the rundown on what happened. But before we get into that, make sure, everybody, that you like the video today. That helps us out tremendously to get the word about grip sport out in front of more people. So go ahead and hit the thumbs up button right now, or at least some point during this call. And go ahead and go do the same thing for show 66. That's where Alan and I talked about the connection between handshake strength and brain function and your ability to get your next job. So listen to that. Listen to our discussion on the new COC 3.5 certified closer, and let us know your thoughts on that video. And then what about Rich Williams' 560-pound double overhand axle deadlift that recently came out? What do you think about that one? Leave a comment in that video in the comment section and let us know what you think. And by all means, give us a like, everybody. Give us a thumbs up. Like I said, this is show number 67 of This Week in Grip. Alan, how has everything been going the last few days, dude?
Things are good. I'm doing real good, working on a lot of stuff, trying to pull something together with that jug for the King Kong competition. Boy, is that an awkward thing for me. Just insanely hit and miss. I cannot warm up to that thing either. So
listen, dude, I'm right there with you. I just had, for the first time, dude, I just had 2 decent workouts in a row on the jug for the first time ever since using it. So I don't know. It was actually the thing that you showed me, that little trickadoo that you showed me that helped me out. So keep on trying that, man. I think it's going to be a difference maker for you. And if anybody else has any tips on the jug, go ahead and leave them below. And if you want to see what Alan and I have been doing, then check out thegripauthority.com, because I think that's a difference maker. And also, by the time you see this, I will have had a very special guest at my gym recently, so make sure that you check out both that person's YouTube channel and some of the video clips that I hope to be getting up on the channel as well, because you're sure to see some impressive stuff. It's going to be a great time. Now I want to introduce Joe Sullivan. Joe is a guy I've been friends with since when, Joe? Was it the beginning of or end of 2015 that we started talking?
We met January 1st, 2017, but we've been in contact for about a half a year before that, when I got into grip in the middle of 2016.
That's right.
And I'll tell you, it's been quite a ride. I want to thank you guys for having me on the show, Jed and Alan. It's an honor to be here.
Yeah, dude, absolutely. We're gonna find out more about you, and then we're gonna hear some about the Cross Canada competition that took place. I know that you traveled up and competed with Eric Rusin, and it's the second time that you've gone up to his place. I've also been up that way before, so really looking forward to it. So, Joe, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, your training, and how you got involved in grip sport?
Absolutely. So my name is Joe Sullivan. I'm from the upstate New York area, and I got involved with powerlifting at quite a young age. I was about 15 years old when I was introduced to it by my friend James Apostolakis. And the first time I did a deadlift, I did about 420 pounds at that young age of 15. So I had.
So you started out light. That's a good idea. That's a good idea, Joe.
First time I touched it, I couldn't believe it. So I did that for about up until I was 26 years old. I needed back surgery, so I could not powerlift anymore. So I did nothing up until about the time I saw your videos of you and Luke, and I was like, wow, this looks like something that I can do to get back into some sort of competitive strength game, considering that it's not going to put maximum loads on my spine, but it's going to tax me in other areas to the maximum. So I thank God that I found you and Lucas, because I don't know what I'd be doing now. I'd probably be just doing push-ups and pull-ups still. So, and you talked me into getting into the competition, and I'm glad that you convinced me to do it.
Holy cow! It took forever, Alan. He must have skipped like 2 or 3 contests before he finally came to one. I said, Joe, you're missing out on all these great contests. You're going to have such a great time. He's like, oh, I'm so nervous. Oh, I haven't ever done this. I was like, holy cow, what's up with this dude? Now he's the most energetic grip guy that's walking the planet these days. So,
dude, I can't get enough of it.
Yeah, dude. So that's good. Alan, what would you like to know about Mr. Joe Sullivan besides the fact that he has a fantastic red beard?
So what made you, when I first started seeing you show up on the scene in some of Jedd's videos, you were using things like the, I think it was the Iron Mind stacker, and some of the implements that, geez, when I saw that, I'd never even heard of that. So how did you decide on some of these implements you were using up front and then start making the transition to actual grip sport?
So the first thing that I actually ever did in grip was actually before I met Jedd. I saw videos and had in a book about Slim the Hammerman Farman. So I was very impressed with the hammer lever feats. So the first time I got into any type of grip-related stuff, I grabbed myself a hammer and said, let me see if I could do some of this stuff. So I grabbed an 11-pound hammer, and the first time I grabbed the hammer, I was able to lever it to my face 5 times. So I said, okay, I got some pretty decent wrist strength. Let me see where I could take this. And my mom had got me a couple of gifts for Christmas, and it was the Iron Mind stacker. It was all like wrist-related type stuff. She got me the wrist curl, the pinch block curl from Jedd, and that's actually how I got into actual contact with him, because he saw where I lived and told my mom, why don't I get in contact with him and see about training. So the rest was
Dude, I thought Joe was just a little kid. I thought he was just a little kid because I was dealing with his mom.
Yeah.
I think the way it worked out was, so the order form was set up incorrectly for the pinch block curl, and the address didn't come through. So I had to hit Joe back through the email in order to get his address, and he wasn't responding. I was panicking because it was like 1 day goes by, 2 days goes by, and I usually have the product sent out well before that. So I was kind of panicking. It almost seems like, Joe, your mom had to like reach out to you and tell you to send me an email or a text
because
or
she
something
actually,
like that.
Right, because she asked me if I received it. I said no, I didn't receive it. So she had to get in contact with you to find out what was up.
Yeah, I knew there was something like that. Yeah.
Because she always buys me the best. She always buys me the best stuff for Christmas and my birthday, and that was one of them. And I got to tell you,
you have a good mom.
She's great. She got me the inch dumbbell. Oh man, you can't. I couldn't.
The women in this sport are so incredibly supportive, aren't they? I mean, you hear about like Brian Shaw's wife buying him 2-inch dumbbells. I mean, imagine walking into the garage and having that. And now, I mean, my wife lets me buy all this crap. It's like, it's just great. We literally couldn't do it without that component,
Right.
I don't think they get enough credit for some of this. So, yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome.
So I'm going to give everybody a little tip out there in the grip world, in the arm lifting world, okay? If you have strong wrists, that is the link to your grip. So everybody that's out there training grip, if you train your wrists more, I guarantee you that you will get a lot more poundages out on the implements that you're doing. Because to me, that seems to be the key. I came in with strong wrists, and I had strong lifts to begin with. So train those wrists, boys and girls.
The other
you equate that to the levering?
I do. I really do. I think that since I train my wrists in every direction. Flexion, extension, pronation, supination, everything you could think of, plate curls. I take bricks, and I'll put a brick on the bottom, like the Gerner lift, the Herman Gerner brick lift, and I've gotten up to 10 bricks on the top of one bottom brick, and I do attribute it to a lot of strength that has overflowed into grip. Absolutely.
Nice. Okay.
He does train his wrists in all directions too, Alan. When he came down, when the day that I moved all the equipment from my home gym into the where Peak Strength and Fitness is now, Joe actually came down and helped me with that project, along with Dawson Brown, one of my lifters, and Steve Lewis, one of my good friends. And while Steve and I were assembling the squat rack, Joe sat down and started working his wrist in some directions to rehab his forearm. So he really does work his wrist in all directions. He doesn't do it with a ratchet or a wrench or anything like that, but he does it with dumbbells rehabbing his forearm. I just wanted to throw that out there.
Interesting.
I saw Steve last night, and we were talking about that actually. How he and I were busy setting up the squat cage, and Joe was over rehabbing his forearm, and we got a good laugh out of that. That was fun time at Joe's expense.
I'm used to it. I'm always good for a good laugh.
Yeah. So, what else you want to know about Joe, Alan? Or are we ready to dive into the Cross Canada?
Let's move right into the comp results.
Yeah, because we're going to try to keep this show kind of short, Joe, but we're going to have you back on so we can talk more about your training and stuff like that. So why don't you tell us about the Cross Canada? What was the actual name of it, Joe? Was it just Grip Challenge or Cross Canada Showdown?
2018 Cross Canada Grip Sport Challenge.
Okay.
Was the title. And it was held up in the Ottawa, Ontario, Eric Hussein's house. And it was very close. I got to tell you, Eric, myself, and Justin Major were at each other's heels the whole way.
Now, hold on one second, Joe, because one thing that people may not realize is that the reason this is called Cross Canada is because it's taking place across Canada in 3 different locations. So do you know
Absolutely.
What the 3 locations were?
Ottawa, Ontario.
Yes.
Waterloo, and where's Jason Steves from? Was that Manitoba? Wherever Jason Steves held
his. Is it like Edmonton, Alberta, or something like that?
Edmonton, yeah, there you go, Alan. You got it. That's it. Yep. So it's almost like the King Kong of grip for Canada. That's what I got the impression of it. Because
right.
It was at 3 different locations at once, and no one knew what the results were until the very end, just like the King Kong of grip.
Cool. Thank you for adding that in there, Joe. But you said that it was very close between you, Eric Hussein, and Justin Major, and you guys all 3 happened to be at the same location, correct?
Yes. Coincidentally, we were all 3 at the same location, and we took the top 3 in the overall. So Justin Major was nice enough to invite me up to his house to stay the night before, and I didn't have to travel all the way from New York to the competition the morning of and have to get out of my car and compete. So that was great. My hat's off to him. He's become a really good friend of mine. Thank you, Justin. And Eric Hussein, always the best host I've ever seen around, besides you, Jed.
Of course.
And it was just head-to-head from the beginning. The first event was the Gold Bar, which was my first time ever even touching that implement, and I had no idea where I was going to be at. And Eric and I actually tied on that. I think we got 62.5 pounds on that device. And Eric Hussein, he's just phenomenal. To be anywhere near him on anything is just a dream come true for such an early gripster. I just don't even have no words for it. To be in the lineup with him in the top 3 is just insane.
So you guys both got 62, is that what you said?
We both got, it was 63.62 to be exact, and Justin got a whopping 77.95.
That's a good lift on the Gold Bar. I've never used the actual Gold Bar, but Luke made a replica one time. I'm not sure where it's at, but that's a really good lift. You ever tried Gold Bar, Alan?
I haven't, no. I was tempted to pick one of those things up, and I just never did for whatever reason. But it looks like it'd be a good training tool. Something real tricky to pull on, that's for sure. Yeah,
a little variety. Cool. What else, Joe?
The next lift was the 2-inch crusher, which I have also never touched before. I never tried a 2-inch crusher, just a 2.5. So I would have been happy. I thought 210 would have been good, not ever touching the implement. And I ended up squeaking out 220.72 and just missing 227.5. I would have liked to have hit that, but 220.72, I'll take it. Justin edged out the 227.34, and Eric topped out at a whopping 229.54 pounds for the win on that device.
Man, he squeaked it out, didn't he? Squeaked out the victory on that one.
I think he had more. I think he could have kept going. I just think.
That just happened to be what his top lift was, but he had a little bit more in the tank, didn't he?
I think he ran out of attempts.
Right. Interesting. Now, how did you feel about the 2-inch crusher versus the 2.5? I know you have at least a replica of the 2.5-inch crusher, and a lot of the thick bar implements that are out there are 2.5 inches. What did you think of the feel of the 2-inch crusher in your hand?
I really enjoyed the 2-inch crusher. I felt like it fit in my hand nicely, where that if I had a little time to work with it, I feel like it would skyrocket the poundages. The 2.5 feels comfortable, but my hand's not gigantic. My hand's like 8 inches on the nose, so I feel like the 2-inch crusher would be suited better for me. But 2.5 is, I could get around 185 on the 2.5 as opposed to 221-ish on the 2-inch. So that's a pretty big difference. I thought I was going to get a lot more on the crusher, actually, considering I can get about 205 on the RT, which is 2 3/8 inch, but the action might be a little different. It might be a little more slicker on the 2-inch crusher.
Yeah, what do you think about the 2-inch crusher, Alan? You ever have a chance to lift on one of those?
I have one. Yeah, I've done some experimenting with it. It's a big difference from the going from the 2 to the 2.5 and vice versa. I pull quite a bit more on the 2. I actually bought it just so I could kind of train my hands differently, because I noticed when I pull on like the Apollon's axle, my right hand tends to be my weaker one. So I was using that to try to bring things up. I like it. I prefer the 2.5. Yeah, I prefer the 2.5 just because my goal is to progress towards the inch type dumbbells. So the 2.5 kind of fits more with my training.
Right.
But I like it. I think the crusher is just fantastic. That's a great.
I
great
think that's a smart move, Alan, to get the different sizes to train with, because I can see how grabbing, like if on the weaker hand, getting the poundages that you can get with the right hand with a larger poundage could definitely help activate that grip a little more, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's what my thinking was. So. Yep.
That's an interesting take. So the only time I've ever used that I recall was when I went out to Aaron Corcoran's competition in like October of 2015, and it felt like totally foreign in my hand. I did not think it would feel so shockingly different, but it was really a really weird feeling when I grabbed it. So it's cool hearing your guys' takes on it as well, because it's definitely not as commonly used, and you don't see videos as much with the 2-inch as you do the 2.5. So
I think if you have a giant hand like yours, Jed, it might feel a little different, for sure.
Yeah, it just feels weird. Like I would say the axle feels a lot better in my hand than the 2-inch crusher, even though they're roughly the same size supposedly. So interesting.
There really is a different feel. There is a different feel between the two. The axle has more like a brushed finish, where the crusher is more polished. So I detected that too. Even though they're theoretically the same, they feel different.
Yeah. That
was a big takeaway for me. Yep.
Yeah, plus even like the fact that the crusher is solid and it just has that denser feeling to it, whereas the axle, you can just tell, even though when I train I've got 500 pounds on the axle.
I love it.
You can still feel that power.
You can still tell that it's just not a solid bar,
Definitely.
It's a different feeling, so.
That's funny that you say that, because the competitors that touched the 2-inch crusher for the first time that had only done the RT in the last competition noted exactly what you said about how it felt so different with the crusher being solid and the RT being hollow.
Yeah, for sure.
Foreign.
So what was the next event, Joe?
Everyone's favorite moon top. David Horn.
I've been dying to hear about this.
This was fun because the moon top that I had practiced on was Lucas Raymond's Arm Assassin Strength Shop replica, which actually hooks to the carabiner and free floats, as opposed to the David Horn, which hooks directly on top of the pin, and it's like stationary on the top. So I was expecting close to 50 pounds on the moon top itself, but I got to tell you, when you use the free-floating one, it's a lot different than using the one that's actually hooked up to the device stationary. I was able to get 51 in training on the moon top that was Lucas's, But the one at the competition, I was only able to edge out 42.68 and just missing about 45 pounds on it. So not a bad lift. I mean, anything over 40 pounds is pretty decent, but it was definitely a lot less than I was hoping for. If I would have gotten closer to what I was hoping, I might have edged out first in the whole thing. But such is life. You live and learn. You only have what you train with. And
right. Well, at the very least, with what you've been using, you were able to condition your fingers to it, because I know that you had injuries in the past with hub-like grips. So it was good that you were able to get your hand on something that was at least similar, and your hand could learn those postures, because otherwise I could see that there would be a lot of force there that you wouldn't be used to, and
yes, muscle memory wouldn't be there.
Run risk.
I definitely like the fact that the Arm Assassin Strength Shop one had a perfectly clean seam around the globe, around the half moon there. There was no weld marks. It was just perfectly flush.
Oh. Dude, what is the deal with the welds on the moon top? I just don't get why you have to have 4-inch long welds on something you're only lifting 50, 60 pounds on tops, and nobody has lifted that much on mine. So, I mean, who's going to defeat those welds?
I don't know. The welds get in the way where you can't position your hand optimally.
They get in the way. It's like you can't, no matter how you park your fingers, you got one sticking on the weld, it feels like. That's how it literally feels to me.
Yeah.
And it throws off everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it drives me nuts. Yeah, and I definitely think there could have been a better way to connect that part to the flat plate. Mm-hmm. They just didn't need to go to that extreme like that. It could have been.
Figured out how to do it.
I mean, Luke, I don't know if you've seen Luke's, Alan, but it's got how many welds, Joe? Is it 4 welds?
Dude, I can't see any welds on there at all. It's just like flat to the plate. I don't see anything. It must be under it someplace.
Well, it's probably under it. Because
it's got to be.
Well, I think the problem is, like, the concept is, you got your half dome sitting on a flat surface, so you can't get your fingers under it. So David talks to ex-welder, hey, this is what I want. Well, the welder wants to make sure it stays on there and never gets a claim, so he over-welds it. But the welder isn't a grip guy, so he doesn't realize how important it is to be able to put your fingers on there comfortably. He doesn't understand texture and, if the implement's got a feature on it that you can use, then people use it. But these features are spread out in so many different places that they're in spots that actually inhibit your grip. So, it's the thing where the mechanic doesn't realize what the car is going to be used for. So,
good point.
I don't know.
Very good point.
Whereas Luke does all his own work, so he understands all that stuff and has a different viewpoint. Looks at it from a different angle, if you will. So
I'm Luke's biggest fan. I'm kind of biased.
You're a bigger fan than me, you think, huh, Joe?
Definitely a big proponent of his merchandise. I mean, he's my grip drug dealer.
Yeah, well, he's a good dude. So he just had his 1-year anniversary. They took a big loop around the country, went to Cincinnati, got down as far as part of the Carolinas, I believe, big old loop. Doing some hiking adventures and things along those lines. They really enjoyed that.
Yeah, I saw that.
Happy anniversary to them.
Yep, happy anniversary, guys.
Did we get all the events, Joe, or is there anything else?
We have one more, the Silver Bullet, which I had not touched since the last Canada competition. So I was kind of worried that I wasn't going to be able to clamp down on that 3.5 for the minimum time, which is 2 seconds. Mm-hmm. But thank God I was able to do it. I got 3.44 seconds on the Captain Crush 3.5. Eric got 12.12 seconds on the 3.5, and Justin got 2.47 seconds. So it was a big defeat of us by Eric, but Justin and I were neck and neck with that.
Tell me one more time, what did Eric get, buddy?
Eric got a nice 12.12. I think that's the most he's ever gotten. That's definitely a high number for him.
Cool. Nice. Nothing like sticking the crush event at the end. That's trickery right there. But it's the same for everybody, so it doesn't matter. Do you have any idea on the ratings of the grippers in each location, Joe? Was there an estimate or a range that was supposed to be used or anything like that?
Eric said that whatever, I'm going off of memory here, so I'm not, you don't quote me, but he said that we were just going to use all the captains of Crush grippers, and whatever ones were there would be used, so we really didn't know exactly what the ratings were for each. Okay. So, I mean, that's what I could remember from what I heard him say.
Yeah, no problem. Well, you could play hell trying to find 3.5s with the same rating anyway, and even if you do, they might not feel the same. So
absolutely, because they used from everyone from the trainer to the 3.5 was used. Yeah. So that's a broad range.
Right. Not everybody's using the 3.5 in a contest, so
no.
I mean, it's been that way. I think 2014. There was a competition called Hands Across the Sea that I ran here. It was part of one of David Horn's competitions, multi-location format competitions. And Silver Bullet was in there that year. Ches came up actually because of the Silver Bullet event. Well, I think so. I don't know that that's why he came up, but I think he liked the fact that the Silver Bullet was in there. But and we didn't have a requirement for what the gripper rating be or anything like that. So I think everybody just used the gripper that they were able to perform best on. So it is what it is. You're still talking about like a variation on average of probably only 5 to 10 pounds per gripper. So it's not going to make that big of a difference. The rating, probably the biggest factor would be the knurling on the gripper, to make sure that it was a good, relatively new knurling versus all worn down, beat up, and slips out of your hands. So,
sure.
Yeah. Well, cool, man. What else? What else happened during the contest? Was there anything else? Any good highlights to talk about from the competition? It looked like a lot of people had fun, and I saw clips all over Instagram from guys that I know have done grip competitions in the past, but what else can you tell us about the competition maybe that was on the grip board we might not have seen or anything along those lines?
Would you like to hear about the Feats of Strength afterwards?
I don't really care about Feats of Strength. I only like grip content. No, yes. Tell us about the Feats of Strength, brother. Come on, let's go. Let's spill the beans.
Right. So Eric had some toys for us to play with that he challenged us with. He had an 80-pound anvil with a 4.5-inch face on it, and he was challenging us to lift it by the face. So myself,
that's cool.
Eric and Justin, we smashed it. We picked it right up and put it down. We picked it up and put it down. Next came the 172 Jowett anvil replica. It's the same anvil used in the Mighty Mitts. And Eric said that he never attempted to. Yeah, it was great, man. I was very happy to see that because I always wanted to get my hands on one.
That's historic right there, man. In more ways than one, being that it's a Jowett anvil that's been used and people have tested themselves on it for decades, if not hundreds of years. Plus the fact that it appeared in Mighty Mitts. I mean, that's something special right there, man.
Right, anvil and sledgehammer vertical lifting is my specialty. So I was happy to see that it was there. So Eric said that he never attempted to pick it up because he was afraid to walk with it, to smash his feet with it. So I said, all right, let me see this bad boy right here. So I picked it up, walked across his gym, put it down, picked it up, walked across his gym again. Then Justin did the same, picked it up, walked across the gym. And then, of course, Eric, not to be done out, he did the same. So all three of us were able to do it.
That's awesome, man. Very few people were successful with the Jow Anvil and Mighty Mitts. I want to say it was 2010 when they had that in Mighty Mitts.
I can't wait to lift it again. I can't wait to go back and get it. I want to buy it from him. It's like having an inch dumbbell in my eyes. That's like the inch dumbbell of anvils.
Yeah. Joe is really skilled on anvils too, Alan. Anything like a vertical bar or little bighorn or anvil horn type lift, he is really, really gifted. He's good at that stuff, man.
Can't wait to hear what you pull on the jug then at King Kong. That ought to be interesting.
That's going to be interesting, dude. That's a good word to describe it. I can't wait.
I'm hoping for around 250. everything goes well, and that'll be nice. Anywhere between 230 and 250, I'll be happy with.
I think those are really good numbers. I really do. There was some speculation that people were going to be pulling like way up in the 300s, and man, I just don't know. That thing just feels so weird. I think the 250s is a solid lift. Well,
250 is definitely a solid lift. There is no doubt about it. I'm one of the people that thought 300 pounds was possible, specifically from Lane Snook.
Oh, absolutely.
So if Lane competes, I think he, of all the people that I've seen working on it, has the best chance. So I hope that Lane is able to compete in the competition. If not, I think then the chances of a 300-pound pull will go down dramatically. I don't know what the heck. I know Joe didn't see this, but in the Grip Strength group on Facebook, Uni Mahonen put up a video of he said it was his first training session and he was disappointed with his pull on the jug. But, like, if you look at that and you count the bigger plates as 45s and then the smaller plates as 35s, it actually comes out to be like 130 kilograms,
wow,
which is like a 286-pound pull.
I missed that.
I'm sorry, what?
I missed that. I didn't catch that lift at all.
Dude, it's in there.
That's gigantic.
It was an effortless pull. Now, if the bigger plates are 35s and the smaller plates are 25s, then it only ends up being something like 200 pounds, which makes a little bit more sense because I know that Uni has a history of back injuries, and I would expect a 200-pound pull to look like what he did versus a 280-pound pull. But I don't know.
Especially for his first time.
There could be some gamesmanship going on there, Alan, because there definitely is with the moon top, I know.
Yes.
There's also been some big lifts on the moon top. What were they, Alan? 26 kilograms plus on the moon top?
Yeah. What was that? Jesse Pinonen hit nearly 57 pounds on that thing, which is absolutely ridiculous. That's huge.
That's insane.
I don't know what other guys. I haven't seen anything else anywhere up near that. But that's a surprising number. I really didn't think we were going to be seeing people hitting in the 50s. That's really huge for that, in my opinion. Especially after seeing like the results from Cross Canada on the moon top. Those weren't they weren't up there like that at all.
Right.
That just led me to think something completely different. So yeah, that was shocking.
There's something in
the very interesting. King Kong is going to be cool. I must say that I would rather be pulling on the stub, especially with as much as the Red Cross calls me to go give blood, because I've drawn more blood down in my garage from the stub than any other implement I've ever used. But if they just came over here to my house, they'd be getting a pint a day anytime I trained on that. So I do like the stub a little bit better, but the moon top, does have its own frustrations about it.
Am I the only one that likes the moon top?
I'm sorry.
I'm actually quite. I like it. I personally like it.
I prefer it over the hub any day.
I don't know that I'd go that far, but the moon top doesn't throw me out of my training quite like the stub did, for example. I think the moon top more resembles the hub, and a hub is a regular thing in my training. So I don't feel like I'm derailing things necessarily in using that. I think there is a little bit of carryover. So, but I actually think it's great. I mean, I don't tear myself apart. It's a nice lift for me. It fits right in. It's probably something I'll keep playing with the stub. I actually, when Jed mentioned that, I literally had to look to see if I could even find it anymore. And it's still down here, unfortunately.
Hopefully we never have to find it ever again.
I know, it's the bottom of the pile, that's for sure.
To say that when Joe says I like the moon top more than he likes the hub, that's like saying I like getting stabbed in the eye better than getting stabbed in the back. So, I don't really know what that statement means, but anyway.
It fits my hand well, Jed. I feel like I get a lot of good forearm activation out of it. When I grab on top of that moon top, I actually feel a lot of muscular stimulation in my forearm, which, you know me, I'm all about the forearm shots.
Yeah.
Forearm Friday, baby.
I would say 90% of my pulls on the moon top don't leave the ground, so all I'm doing at best is getting an isometric out of it. So
there you go.
Yeah.
The moon top is hilarious like that. For what you can pick up and hold for what seems like a half an hour, you add a pound of that and it just stays stapled to the floor.
Ain't coming
I don't
up,
get
dude.
it.
It's not coming up. Yeah.
That's what
Seriously.
keeps happening to me
that
too.
Electromagnet comes out.
Yeah, yep. I don't get it.
I put a post up like that in the group that I have for the Grip Authority, and I think it was like I held my PR for 10 seconds, and then I put on a half-pound plate and could not get it off the ground. So,
it's maddening. Holds have worked the best for me in the past. Historically, on that type of thing, it's like I make progress doing that. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden you come along to this, and it's just a completely different animal.
Well, I'm about ready to take it down to the river and train it like Vasily Alexiev because nothing else is working. I'm going to go submerge myself in the water, and the only way that I get air is if I pick up that moon top. So that's a reference that you guys can all check out. Look up Vasily Alexiev. There's a picture of him like doing front squats or something in a river. So,
absolutely.
Yeah. You know what I'm talking about, right, Joe?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, dude. So, listen, guys, I got to run. I'm going to sign out, but you guys can take over the show and talk about whatever you want to for as long as you want to, but I got to get out of here and coach this team to a victory in soccer. So I wish you guys the best, and Joe will hopefully be seeing you soon, okay?
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on, brother.
For sure. Alan, you take care of yourself. We'll be talking.
All right. Sounds good. We'll catch you later.
Yeah, I'm out. The show is yours, dudes. Enjoy.
Thank
you. All right. Still there?
Yeah, I'm there, brother.
Oh, good deal. Good deal. So we got to talk about that moon top a little more. So how do you like that then? You've been doing a lot of training with it?
I've been hitting it once a week. What I've been doing with my King Kong training is that I've been doing all the events in the same day. I'll do a couple of sets of each implement, and my last one will be the moon top. Now, the way that I grab it right from the top, and I push down into it, and then I pull. So it's like almost like as if I'm pushing down and lifting. I'm not just grabbing it and lifting. I'm giving it a push, and I'm feeling like that's helping me activate my claw grip better than if I just place my hand on top of there. I'm visualizing myself actually like putting dents in the moon, like just squeezing my fingers into it and getting that visualization that I'm putting my fingerprints in it. And that seems to be
interesting.
Working.
Okay. I kind of grab it much in the same way that I actually approach the hub, where I almost start with my fingers out on the flat part, and I sort of drag them across it until I contact what would be the true gripping surface. It almost gives me that skin stretch that we talk about so often.
Yes.
And that's been my approach to it, which has kind of worked. I see some guys kind of getting like their fingers cranked on there, and that funny crap. I can't do that. I have to literally just straight down, conventional type grip on it.
I agree with you. I can't do any of those funny hand motions where they're like grabbing it almost like a doorknob. I can't do it. I got to grab it almost like when you see the picture on the Iron Mind how to lift the hub. That's exactly how I lift the moon top, with my fingers right on top of it.
Yeah. Yep. Cool. You have the other implements then too? You got a flask and stuff?
I have a flask. I have the 2.5-inch crusher, and I have the FBBC. What was it? Jug.
Okay. Cool. How's your flask training doing? I don't think I've seen much pinch work out of you, really.
Dude, I don't pinch really at all. I mean, I just pretty much wing it. I'm surprised I have the pinch strength that I have. I like thick bar, and I like vertical bar, and I like wrist. I seem to train what I like. I probably would do a lot better if I trained what I didn't. So I'm about 90 pounds on the one-handed flask just from not touching.
Well, that's respectable. Yeah, that's respectable. There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, that's a legit lift. Yeah, I'm nowhere near that. Yeah. My problem with those things is I like thick bar, and I also like block weights and hub. And anything else just kind of throws a wrench into it. So it doesn't really get the attention that it deserves. It always falls secondary, So that's why I tend to see progress in the block weights. But the flask, that's kind of a funny one for me too. I tell you, some days in training, I feel like I when I pull, for like a max effort, it's like the next day I'll miss a warm up weight. I don't know what it is. I'm always hit and miss on that. Yeah, drives me nuts.
I agree.
More consistency on other things for whatever, and it's not necessarily the flask. I mean, it's even like that with the Euro, but anything with the pinch in that similar region, it just does that. No cooperation.
That's how it is for me with narrow pinch. I feel like I like wider pinch, like from 3 to 4 inches, a lot better than the 2.5.
Absolutely,
2.5.
absolutely.
I like the wide pinch, and I think that since you're using block weights a lot, though, I mean, I asked Jedd himself if he could only have one implement to train on, what would he choose? And he said it would be a blob. And I don't think you can go wrong doing that, because I think block weights are very difficult.
Yes, I fell in love with that. That's one of the things that pretty much got me going in this sort of stuff, was actually blobs in particular, though the majority of my work is actually done with hexes. But there's something about them really appealing. It's lots of fun. Well, you know what?
A lot harder.
See, that's so funny. I heard, Nate, you know who Nate Browse is, right?
I do, yes.
He once made a reference that he had never seen a hex block, I think, that was easier to lift than the Blob 50, implying that he could lift the Blob 50, but there were some half-hundred hexes that he couldn't pull.
I can't.
And that has literally been the opposite for me.
Wow.
I have several half-hundred hexes. I can pick them all up. I can pick them up with weight at it. And I've lifted the Blob 50, but the problem is I can't hit it with any regularity. I can command it on the hexes. Gotcha. But the Blob 50, it's like I might get it today and then not see it for a month. You never know. So it's funny, just that individuality. It's awkward. It's awkward.
Now let me ask you about when you lift how big's your hand?
It's about just a shade under 7.5 inches.
Okay.
So I would call them average to small.
When you lift the blob, can you actually fit your hand over the whole thing, over the top? Or do you have some of your fingers over the slope?
I can get my whole hand over the top, but it helps actually if I leave my index off of it. Going on the rounded part. Yeah. When I lift hexes though, I can't get all my digits on it. It's actually, for me, it's a middle and ring finger lift, and my thumb. The pinky's off entirely, and my index goes over, kind of over the top of it like it would on a blob. I can't lift it with a full hand on it. Just stays there.
I can't either. I could tell you that from my wrist to my middle finger, it's about 8 inches. But my index finger is a lot shorter than my middle finger, so I can't get my index finger over the edge. I have to keep it over the slope in the front of the blob.
Interesting.
Yeah, I can't get my index finger over the side. I've tried. I could do it on like 42.5s or on 37.5s. I could do that all day. But on the actual 50-pound blob, I have to keep it over the slope.
Okay. And you've lifted the blob?
Oh yeah. Yep, I have.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, that's an accomplishment. I've never lifted the blob in the conventional sense. I've lifted the blob 50, but that to me is not the same thing. So
okay.
I won't.
It was a 50-pound. I don't know the differences between what is what. It was a 50-pound York head. Is that a blob?
That is. Yes.
Yeah.
When I say blob 50, I'm referring to a blob that was more or less modeled after a next generation York dumbbell, half of a 100. Because those things they don't exist anymore. A fellow named Gordon Vizecki came along and had a mold made up and had a couple batches of these made, I believe. I don't know what the total number was in the end. I think maybe 100 or so might be in existence. But it was basically modeled after a next gen blob. But the texture varies on them a little bit. And I have two. My personal opinion is that those are easier to lift than than an actual next gen would be.
Gotcha.
So, but because it's really not the same thing, that's why I just don't consider it. So,
the one that I have is a half of a York 100-pound dumbbell, and it says 100 on it. It's got the 100-pound stamp on it.
Oh, you got the 100 side. Okay, is it a Fat Man or is it a? Oh, well, yeah, that's badass, man. Yep, that's a solid.
I don't know the difference. I just know that it's a half of a. I know it's a half 100 York dumbbell. That's all I know.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe Jedd would probably have to evaluate that. He might be able to just take it based on sight, but you can measure like the weight of it can be a little bit of a help. Otherwise, like the handle diameter is another good way to pick that too. So the older style Fat Mans, they actually used the thinner handle that tended to bend. And when they went on to the next gen, it seemed like they had the slightly fatter handle, and that's when the head of the dumbbells kind of changed just a little bit. So, but it can be tough to interpret though. That's for sure. Yep, unless you've got the York side, you know, it's really hard to just at a glance know anything. So, cool.
So I heard you talking about the jug before and techniques for the jug. Now, that's where I find a lot of my wrist strength comes in handy with the vertical bar lifting, because I like to lift the vertical bars with a little bit more of like an underhand grip, and I give it a twist using my wrist strength as I'm lifting it. I find I can get a lot more of a lift out of it than if I just lifted it, you know, head on and just tried to pull it. Have you ever tried that technique?
Yes. And I agree completely. Yep. That does seem to help quite a bit. Yeah. I know it puts quite a bit of weight on it. Yeah. I've had some shoulder issues and things like that. So I'm a little reluctant to take some of those positionings. I'd rather kind of pull more or less from a neutral type position.
Sure.
So, right, and it kind of protects things a little bit.
Compromise position.
Yes. So that's my one hesitation there. So, actually, you know, when it comes to this thing for King Kong, I tell you on the jug, I'm not pulling anything respectable anyway, but I'm thinking I'm going to probably take it easy on that one and just kind of not zero out, but I don't know that I'm going to push it. I just don't. Just the injury potential there is enough to kind of deter me at this point, you know.
If
so
you feel there's any risk,
go after it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I tend to. Yeah, I pull with just a bit of a bend in my arms, you know, and that's just not a good thing for that. So
no, because you're flexing the bicep more.
Yep. Got to leave that one alone. So, but well, cool. So, how's all your King Kong training then? Is on point?
I actually just started King Kong training after the Cross Canada Challenge because they had different implements that were involved. But I tried to mix it up a bit. I try to mix everything up. I try to have like a whole bunch of different things that I'm doing in conjunction to whatever that's in the contest that complements those lifts. Like if I'm doing, I'll try to hit an axle, so I'm getting full body strength as well as grip. You know, because when you're using the implements, you're only doing a fraction of what your body can pull. Maybe some double overhand deadlifts. You know, something that's going to activate my whole musculature. Like a lot of times people just do grip stuff, but I recommend that people do strength training beyond grip so that your whole body is strong, and that just makes it that much better for you to be able to go and hit the grip lifts. A lot of people.
Yeah, I agree completely.
A lot of people that I've come in contact with, they don't work their whole body. They just do implements or grippers. They don't do like cleans and presses. I love doing axle cleans and presses. I like doing axle curls and presses. Mike Thomas actually turned me on to the curl and press, and that's one of my favorite things to do now. I finish a workout up with where you take the Iron Mind axle and you pick it up, you curl it, and you press it overhead. Bring it down, curl it, press it overhead. I'm giving away all my secrets here, Ellen. I shouldn't be telling everybody.
That's interesting. Well, yeah. Well, I won't be trying that one personally, but that's interesting. I've never even heard of anybody doing that.
I can't help it though. I love grip so much. I'll give anybody tips that'll help them. You know, it's just so much fun for me. I mean, I'm so glad that I found it. It's definitely something that has filled that competitive void that I had for so long.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really made a big difference in my life actually too. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's it's so much fun. I wish more people really knew about it. You know, and it's hard to it's kind of hard to get it out there almost for whatever reason. You know, some of the some of the stronger guys that are out there that would do quite well, it's just like it's hard getting them to want to break into it, So in seeing people like Brian Shaw, and all these guys and Juji Mufu starting to take notice and do these things,
that's
so huge for us.
That's wonderful.
Yep. It puts it out there and makes it more mainstream.
Here's my theory.
Yeah.
Go ahead, finish your thought.
I was just my one thing. I wish some of these things were a little bit more available. That we see. Like Brian Shaw, for example, he's got like he does the things with these inch dumbbells. That's not something anybody's going to just walk into a Dick's Sporting Goods and get.
That's right.
And then he does like and then like the blobs. He's doing that blob challenge and stuff. Same thing. You can't just go get those. And the other thing is the considerable financial investment that goes along with that. Like just what between his inch dumbbells alone and those blobs, he's got a few grand wrapped up in that.
Oh,
and that's
definitely.
that's a big hit for somebody,
Absolutely.
So it's just so hard. It's not, you don't go to Play It Again Sports and just get everything you need and be able to just move forward with it,
They're very rare items that you have to look for. Their specialty.
Yeah. But no, let's hear your theory. I'd definitely like to maybe get some good takeaways from this.
My theory on grip is I could tell you every person that I tell about it is very intrigued, very interested, and can see the benefit that it would have. But I think that a lot of people are into vanity more than they are strength. I think a lot of people say, am I going to get abs from this? Am I going to get huge chest from this? Am I going to get this or that? Then why do you do it, they say. I'm like, your hands are the link to your body. If you can't lift something, or if you can't grip something, you can't lift it. And how you can't see that grip is one of the most beneficial things that you can do for your body, for functional strength. I don't know what to tell you, because I could tell you from when I was powerlifting to now, I am stronger in so many ways than I was then when I was deadlifting over 700 pounds on a regular basis. It's just a total different strength. And I don't think that people want to take the time to develop that. I think it's more, they see it as being more time-consuming, where they're not going to get the physique out of it, but they're going to get the strength. You get what I'm saying?
I do understand what you're saying. Yeah.
I think people are more into vain things these days than they are about having functional raw power.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. I think even outside of the grip point of view on that, there's even like a lot of powerlifters. Like, you know who Swede Burns is?
No, I never heard that name.
Oh, okay. Well, he has he's a power lifter. I think he's retired. He does a lot of coaching now. He owns Keyhole Barbell. It's at a place in Pennsylvania. Okay. Anyway, he has a program called Fifth Set, but he made a neat thing about that. About abs, for example. When you mentioned that in training, you were talking about the vanity part of it. He's like, like skinny crackheads have abs.
Yes.
It's not an indication of anything. So it's I agree. It's not a functional kind of thing.
But to the general public, for some reason, it is. The general public thinks that signifies power. If you have a set of abs, you're strong. I'm sorry, but I'm an old school kind of guy. I want to be strong. I want to look strong, and if something comes my way, I want to be able to handle it. And that's why I think grip is a great thing for someone to get into. Women too. I mean, if they have a strong grip, they can handle business.
Yes. Yeah, no, there's no disadvantage to it, in my opinion.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anything that comes at you in life, you'll be able to take care of it.
Yep, for sure. So, say, what other kind of feats are you into then? You ever do any tearing or anything?
Any what?
Card tearing, phone books?
Oh, I've never tried that. I got to get into the technique of that. The reason why I haven't really tried that is because I heard that it doesn't really have much overflow into actually the grip lifts that we do. So, like I've been focusing on more being a competitive guy. I want to do as many competitions as I can. So, I focused on the brick lift. I've focused on the breaking a soda can, with my two hands, pushing it in, popping the can. I've done that.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
I got that. It's actually on YouTube. If you want to check that out. It's
I will check that out. I've never. I haven't tried that. Personally.
Be careful, brother. Be careful because I sliced my hand open. I was stupid. I didn't.
Well, you know that, and that's yes, and that's what I see happening. That's exactly what I see happening, and yeah. Not to mention I have a bad experience every time I try to squeeze something that contains a fluid. We've had like the egg crushing discussion. Which was dumb. Have you ever tried that?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, don't even bother. You can do it. Just leave that one alone. Yeah, but back to the tearing thing. When you were talking about it not carrying over, I guess I probably agree. I can't tell you that like tearing decks of cards has necessarily helped any of my grip lifts. I always kind of do it last in the training. I would think though that like the tearing action would be a different stimulus in terms of wrist strength.
Absolutely. It might do something for levering or some sort of like pronation or supination type strength. But I can almost see like if you tear too often that it might end up causing some injuries to the fingers. Do you see that? I have no experience with it, but just from when I watch people do it, it looks like you could end up hurting the fingers some way. Certain decks seem worse than others. For whatever reason, like my experience with casino cards, those things seem like you're grabbing a handful of razor blades. That's
whereas,
what I'm saying. I don't want to get a wicked bad slice in my hand.
But the other decks, not so much. Some even feel softer. Like bicycles, for example. Those are stiff cards. I don't know that they're going to slice you up though. But like Mavericks, I tear a lot of Mavericks. They're cheap. They're really cheap, and they're incredibly easy too, really. But they have a soft feel in your hand. So if I was a new guy looking to try something like that, that would be a good approach to it. I don't think those are gonna dice you up. But I mean, you'll see guys like doing these feats with them duct taped up, doing them with oven mitts and stuff. So I mean, that's impressive. If you want to break into that with your first tear at a deck.
Yeah, that's like taking the Captain's of Crush gripper with a construction glove on and squeezing it. You ever tried that?
Yeah, I haven't. But that's a good approach. I mean, you want to do that. You got a legitimate concern, but then you want up the feet right away. You did something that was that much harder.
Do that way, for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. So you take ownership of it. Yep.
Definitely up
Sweet.
the ante. So like I've done the inch dumbbell, I've done the 50-pound blob, and I've done the 20-pound sledgehammer for multiple reps. I like the feats; they're fun. But competition is just like where it's at. Speaking of competition, we had the awards were little anvils for the top 3 in each weight class. Did you see that Eric had made up?
No, I didn't actually.
Those are pretty cool. I'm waiting for mine to come in the mail. But there was no top 3 awards for the overall. So since they were so friendly and welcomed me into their country, I had 3. The Canada Grip Sport logo with the maple leaf, and it's got the guy squeezing the gripper.
Yeah.
You ever see that logo? I
have, yes.
I had a couple of awards made for the top 3 for me, Eric, and Justin as a way to thank them for having me in their country and staying over as a gesture to my brothers in the North.
That is nice. That's really cool. Yep. I'm glad we've got a lot of that camaraderie back and forth. Yeah, that's really good. That's awesome.
I love going up there. They've been nothing but hospitable to me. Eric always has a spread of food out for everybody. I don't have to worry about anything.
Yeah.
Thank you, Eric, and thank you, Justin.
Before we wrap up, you got to tell me about Eric Rusin's his gym. I've only ever seen pictures, but is this like the Mecca? It Gold's Gym or what? What's it like when you walk into this place? You got to describe this to me.
I have never seen so many trophies and awards in my life. I walked in and I was like, I almost fainted. He's got shelves full of arm wrestling, grip, every type of strength event you could imagine. He's got trophies for. He said he's gotten rid of some of them because he had so many trophies in there. This was in his gym.
I can't imagine.
I was just.
I've got 2. How do you know which one to get rid of?
I and each one was more elaborate than the next. This next award that he's getting is probably going to break his shelves.
Awesome. But is this a large space just full of grip goodies, or what's the setup like?
It's in his basement. It's a pretty good sized basement. It's a big square. He's got the chairs set up in the back for spectators to sit down, and for the competitors to sit down in between lifts. He's got the back wall covered with all of his trophies and memorabilia. He's got pictures of himself with like his Iron Mind ad that he did with the pronation. I think it was what is that called? The wrist. The device Iron Mind sells where.
Why am I drawing a blank on this? The heavy hammer? The heavy hammer?
Hammer, yeah. That forearm in that ad is Eric's forearm. Did you know that?
No. Actually, no. That's interesting.
The ad for the heavy hammer that you see is Eric Hussain's forearm.
Oh, wow. I literally did not have any idea. Well, that's cool.
Yep. Go ahead.
Weird. No, I just didn't know who I thought. I never even gave it any consideration to whose arm that was. That's funny.
Oh, yeah.
Interesting.
So his equipment, he has his equipment strewn on the sides, on the perimeter of the gym, and it's just everything you could think of. Inch dumbbell, stronger grip, 3-inch rotating dumbbell handle. You ever see that loadable stronger grip? It looks like a dumbbell that Frankenstein would use. It's like really like shiny and gold with it looks like it's got like rivets all in it, and it's got a spinning handle on it. It's a loadable bell.
I haven't seen it, but that company makes some really nice stuff. Ryan Pitts,
really nice.
He is a phenomenal metal fabricator. So I'm not surprised to hear that description. Yeah, very nice stuff.
He's got the blobs around, all different sorts of anvils, all different sizes of anvils. You would have died and gone to anvil heaven if you saw what he had down there. He's got this big, it looks like something from a loading dock. You ever see it's a big almost like a U-shaped hook, and it's like 4 or 5 inches in diameter, and it's got a little part on the bottom of it that you could actually hook weight onto. So he's done like one-handed lifts with this big 200-pound piece of steel with other weight attached to it. It's just phenomenal.
Oh, weird. Is it like a shackle almost? Like an old style shackle?
Yeah. Almost like an old style shackle, but the thing is like up to my waist. That's how big it is.
Oh, weird. Okay.
I'm 6'4". This thing is like the size of my leg. It's huge.
Awesome. Yeah, all I ever see, you only see pictures kind of from one angle in his gym there.
That's the angle. If you're coming down the steps and you make the right into his gym, it's looking right across the basement to like the area where the mirrors are and where all the weights are, and that's where we stand to do the competitive lifts right there.
Okay, it looks really
space,
nice.
But what he has packed into that space is just insane.
Yeah, it looks nice. It looks really clean, like almost too clean for what must go down in that area. The pictures that he puts up. So I've always wondered what it was like in there.
He must vacuum after every training session.
Yeah, it was like even the color scheme in the room is impressive. I thought his choices. It's just looks like an awesome area. So,
all those pictures on the wall that you see is of pinball. He's a very avid pinball fan.
Oh, I had no idea. Interesting.
Those colorful pictures that are on the wall. He's a very big he's a grip arm wrestling / pinball fanatic.
Oh, crazy. Okay. I didn't know that. I didn't know that
either until I arrived in Canada in July.
Huh. Interesting. I can't remember who it was the gripster was. Maybe it's even Eric, but there was one of those guys that does like escape rooms or something like that.
You are correct. I think it's Eric.
Okay, it was him.
Yep.
It was him. All right. Yeah. So I knew that, but no, the pinball thing. That's an interesting tidbit. So cool.
I think he's a very cerebral individual. I think he's a thinker.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I would imagine. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, he's quite accomplished. So, yeah. Sweet. Okay. Well, anything else to add about that at all before we wrap it up?
I think we covered a lot. I just want to say thanks again for having me on, and anytime you want to have me back, I'd be happy to.
Okay, all right. Well, that was a lot of fun, Joe. I really appreciate hearing about your training. That was interesting. It's been a good call. So, well, that's episode 67 of This Week in Grip. Hope everybody enjoyed it. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Comment down below. And we'll be back next week with another one. We'll see you then.